Hey, welcome back. This week is crazy because my kids are off school for the entire month and I am hiding in my pantry right now because it's very loud out there and I'm afraid you won't be able to hear me. So I am at the beginning of the month, which means my budget starts over. And so I have $450 this month to spend on food from the grocery store. And I'm using what we have on hand. I just finished organizing everything so I could see exactly what we have. And this week I want to show you how exactly I stay on such a small budget for my family of four, especially when I have a lot of picky eaters. So let's go ahead and get started on this week. Now that I've organized the pantry, I have the biggest step of the month that I need to do, and I need to do this every single week, but I'm going to go ahead and grab my little meal planner here, and I am going to start my inventory. And yes, I am in my Aldi Christmas pajamas, and I'm looking forward to when they release their next Aldi holiday gear. Hopefully that'll be cute and I can grab another pair of slippers or something. Now, the reason why inventory is such a big deal, there's a few reasons for that. So first, when I head to the store, a lot of times I used to buy things because I'd go, oh, we probably need another ketchup or another Worcestershire or soy sauce or something. And then I'd end up with like 4 or 5 of the same thing as a backup. And I just did not need to do that. I end up wasting things because by the time I'd get to that 4th or 5th one, it would be expired or just not look too good anymore. And so now I don't do that. I don't waste my money on a bunch of extra backups. But the second most important reason for inventory is it reminds me of all of the little bits and pieces of things I need to use up before they go bad every single week. So I might have potatoes on hand that I forgot about, or one little bulb of garlic I need to chop and get in the freezer before it goes bad. Or for instance, this week we had a party for Halloween and somebody brought over a veggie tray and left the veggies here for me to have. So I'm going to be using those little things and make sure they don't go bad and figure out what I can make with just random ingredients I have on hand instead of throwing everything in the trash because it went bad before I could use it. But now that I have inventory done, I can actually see what kinds of meals I can make. You can see I have a ton of pasta in the back, so I can make a pasta dish. I do have a lot of baking supplies, and I have lots of dried beans, barley, and rice, oats, all kinds of goodies I can start with. So it really gives me a lot of freedom to think about the variety that I want to have instead of kind of getting in a rut. So for me, doing the inventory actually helps jog my brain on what kinds of meals that I can make and what I want to eat. So with the potatoes tonight, I am planning on making some loaded French fries. My son requested fries last week, so I'm going to go ahead and make those today. And I like to serve them deconstructed for my kids. I'll show you that later on. So that's a plan. I can use some leftover veggies, like the veggie tray for that, plus some leftover random cheeses I have, and I can make a big pile of loaded fries. Then I have some freezer meals that I want to go through, so I'll use those because this is going to be a big shopping trip this week. And I don't want to go overboard buying extra proteins and things like that because you can see that I have plenty of things on hand to start with. So I should really just use what I have and only pick up these random staples and things that I've run out of, plus some additional fresh produce, eggs, and milk just to complete the week. For instance, I was starving and doing inventory and I saw these last 2 bean burritos in my freezer. So I went ahead and microwaved them and then put them on a skillet to make them browned. And to make this more fun and kind of more like takeout, I use leftover takeout container or takeout hot sauces and things to make it seem more like takeout. And I feel like that really helps with the craving, and so I avoid takeout when I'm starving. I should definitely make some more of these bean burritos because they are super delicious, very easy to make. I just used refried beans, cheddar cheese, and then wrapped them in tortillas and threw them in the freezer. But they're just a really great thing to grab and go. I also did a black bean version too, and burritos and wraps. They're just super inexpensive and really can add anything you love. Tonight I'm going to be using these potatoes to make homemade fries. I've gone ahead and washed and scrubbed the potatoes with my produce brush to get all of the dirt off because we do like the skin. So I'm going to leave the skin on, but I am going to remove the eyes. Then I'm just going to chop these up, make them like fry shapes. So slice them one way and then the other. And then I'm going to put them in some hot water. I know I've read some people like to do extra cold water, but I once did a recipe where I soaked these in really hot water for 10 minutes, then dry them and season, and that worked just fine. The cold water I've read takes a lot longer, so this is how I do it. I really don't know that you even need to do it, but this has worked for me in the past, so I'm just going to do it this way. I'm just going to make them about this size. All right, all of the fries are sliced. Let's go get these in very, very hot water for about 10 minutes, and then we'll pat them dry and bring it back over here. And if you have any potato scraps, you can keep these in the fridge, or not in the fridge, in the freezer, and add them to veggie stock later. And while those potatoes are soaking, I'm gonna go ahead and chop up an onion, plus some leftover veggies from a party that we had the other day. Got some bell peppers and some tomatoes I can cut up. And then I also have some random cooked meats from my freezer. So I'll go ahead and get this thawed out for my husband. And then I am gonna add some chili beans to mine too. So kind of like a chili cheese fry for me.
What's happening to this?
I need to sharpen this knife.
Do you have a knife sharpener?
I do, I just haven't used it yet. And whatever we don't eat tonight, I'll just keep in the fridge for something else later in the week. Also, if you have any clean onion scraps, you can also put those in your freezer bag and save that for stock for later as well. Okay, so all these clean onion scraps can go right in here with my celery scraps from last week, my potato scraps, and I'll throw these in the freezer. Okay, now I'm just gonna toss these. By the way, I've drained and patted them dry as well. I'm just gonna toss them with some oil, just any kind of neutral oil. You could probably use olive oil if you wanted to, and some salt and pepper. And I've got my oven set to 425 Fahrenheit, and so I'm just gonna put these on a baking sheet and make sure they're in an even layer. So I'll probably have to use multiple baking sheets for this. And then I'll pop them in the oven, and I'll most likely do, I wanna say 30 minutes, but I'll probably try to stir or toss them halfway through, something like that. I mean, they really don't have to be perfect, but I think I also want to try a batch in the air fryer too, so we'll probably do that too. And here's the second batch. I'll just do the same thing with these, and I'll put some on a baking sheet, and then some I want to put in the air fryer as well. I've never air fried these kinds of fries, so I'm not sure how long to do it for, but I'm just going to set it for like 390 or maybe 360 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I'll check on them like every 5 minutes probably. I always get oil on my shirts. This is why I buy these inexpensive $7 shirts. Now I could probably put a little dish soap on the oil, let it sit for a bit, and it'll probably just come right out. Okay, I'll see you in about 30 minutes. And from the party, I also have some leftover turkey deli meat here that I need to use up really quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and make little sandwiches for my kids, and add a little bit of sliced cheese, maybe some olives on the side, and probably some carrot sticks as well. I know it's kind of funny, but my son, he'll probably deconstruct this anyway, but he doesn't like everything all mixed together. And my daughter likes her sandwich with just cheese and mayo, and then I'll have the meat on the side here. So then I'll add some fries to go with this, and theirs will be all ready to go. And it's been about 25 minutes, and I've been shaking these in the air fryer every 5 minutes or so, and I think they're done. They look nice and crispy too. So these are all done. I'm gonna set these aside, and I'll wait for the ones to come out of the oven as well. And I'll just put a touch more salt on these since they just came out. And I think I'm actually gonna throw some of the oven fries into the air fryer to speed things up a bit, because they do take a lot longer in the oven. So I've stirred these a few times, but you can see some are getting a little bit crispy, and the ones in the middle aren't, because you should move them to the outside as you mix, but I haven't been mixing them very often. So I'm just gonna throw some of these that are not quite ready into the air fryer to make this go faster. Here's my son's plate here, and I always keep the extra ketchup too whenever we do takeout, so we have some for things like this. And then here's my daughter's plate, and that'll do it. And on my fries, I'm gonna add, I didn't have cheddar cheese like I thought I did, because I went to go shred the cheddar cheese and it was not good anymore. So I've got mozzarella, so we're gonna do mozzarella, and then some of my homemade chili beans that I've reheated from the freezer. And then after I've melted this in the oven, I'll add some toppings as well. So I'm just gonna put this at like 200 degrees. So I've added some Greek yogurt, some of the grape tomatoes, the bell peppers, and some of the diced onions as well. And now I'll add a little bit of hot sauce, and it's just right. Ta-da! With these French fries that aren't super crispy, I'm going to freeze them just like this on the sheet tray. And that way, when I go to put them in an airtight container, they won't all stick together. So that's the way that you keep things from sticking together, is just freeze them separately like this. And then these will be ready to air fry or bake later on. So we went ahead and went to Costco and got a few things. One of them is my favorite, the rotisserie chicken for $5. So I'm going to go ahead and shred this up. Then I'm going to save the bones and skin in the freezer and the shredded chicken as well, so I can make meals this week. Okay, so that took me a few minutes, but now that it's all done, I'll get these 2 large containers of shredded chicken in the fridge to cool. Once they're cooled, I'll put them in the freezer for later. And then I'm also going to put the bones and skin in the freezer as well, so I can make homemade chicken stock whenever I'm ready to do that. I usually like to kind of save one for those times when we catch a cold or something like that, so it's ready to go. And I just love having all this chicken on hand. It's great for so many different recipes. This is probably the biggest grocery haul I've done in a couple of months. Because we were running pretty low on proteins. I do have a lot of dry beans and things like that, but I do like to keep some chicken on hand, some fish. So I did want to kind of restock a few things, and lots of things were on clearance at Aldi. So I want to kind of just go over what I picked up real quick so you can see what it looks like when I do like a full haul, and how I get some backup things on hand. So we did get some berries today. They were a pretty good price. So we've got raspberries and blackberries. I already had some fruit down here, just some apples and oranges. And then I also had some bananas that we got today. Some milk. Now this is good until December, and I didn't plan on getting this, but it was a request when we got to Costco. Got some milk from Aldi, bread from Aldi. They were out of sourdough, but we did go to Costco and I got some sourdough here, a few dozen eggs. We already had the yogurt on hand, but I did get some bagels for the cream cheese that we already had, and then some chicken as well. Plus, we got some cheese at Aldi. I didn't realize that we were gonna go to Costco, but then we got to Costco and I found the 2-pound cheese, and this was, I think, less than $3 for each pound. Plus, I found some of the Halloween cheese on sale for $1.09 each, so we did get 5 of those. And we had some cheese samples as well at Costco. And at Aldi, we picked up some hash brown patties, although I do have a ton of potatoes on hand still, so I could use those. And tonight for dinner, I went ahead and thawed out one of my freezer meals. This is my freezer meal chili. Super easy to throw together. This is the second one, so this is my last one. I'll have to prep some more, but very easy to make. I'm just gonna pop this in a pot on the stove, add a little bit of chili powder because I didn't when I made it, and then it'll be ready in about 30 minutes. And at Aldi, we did find some discount snacks this week. These were a little over $1 for these trail mixes because they were obviously on clearance from Halloween, and I always recommend taking advantage of all of the clearance items. We did also find some of these Belvita crunchy, I don't know what they're called, breakfast bars? I don't know, and they were on sale. And the Be Ready Nutella. So these were also clearance items from Aldi. And when I make my meal plan, I do try to have a freezer meal or something very easy for the night that I do my grocery shopping, because usually when I grocery shop, I'm tired, and I also have some prep I like to do that day. So I want to do very little cooking. So let me go ahead and add about a tablespoon or 2 of chili powder, and then I'll get this simmering on the stovetop. And some of the biggest scores, which I'm super excited about this week, is they had a lot of the freezer items on clearance that we actually might eat. So my husband will probably eat this smoked mozzarella ravioli. I don't know if the kids will, but I can just get some pasta sauce and we can try that. So that was a little over $1, I think $1.50. And we did buy a regular soft pretzel, but the Bavarian soft pretzels were on sale for $2.40. So I think I got 4 of those. And then the reason why I'm excited is because those are my son's favorite. And also the Sweet Heat breaded chicken breast fillets, which we haven't tried yet. These were only $2.70. So I got 2 and of course left a bag for somebody else to get. I don't like to take everything if there's a clearance item. I like to leave at least a few. And, you know, depending on how many are available, I'll kind of, you know, gauge how many I should take. I also found these breaded chicken Parmesan patties, and they were $5. And this is, let's see, 1 pound, 8 ounces, so 24 ounces. So a little over $3 a pound for chicken that's already prepared. So I like that. That's raw chicken, so I'll be able to heat that up and pair it with, you know, some pasta or something like that. So I am now fully stocked on a lot of proteins, because along with that rotisserie chicken that I shredded earlier, And I've got some frozen things. I'm gonna close this up though. And there's the other Bavarian soft pretzels that I got. But last month I was able to find this swai that I put in the freezer, and we haven't used those yet. So I will try to get this fish in the menu this week to go with some mashed potatoes and some veggies. And then I do still have some freezer meals too that I've already prepped, like lentil curry. And I do have some of the spicy cornbread that I found for 25 cents from Aldi. So I'll pair that with the chili tonight. And this is how I have things backed up though, is that I have a lot of things that are just frozen, random freezer meals or random proteins. And then I just use those along with sale items to complete meals every single week. And in my other freezer, this is where I keep the veggies. So I always keep on hand some frozen broccoli, frozen mixed veggies. I've got scraps for veggie stock all the time. Some melon for the dogs down here. And then I have some stir-fry veggies, frozen spinach, and then I also have some frozen nuts and seeds that we don't always use, and so I'll just keep them in the freezer. And then lots of frozen fruit on hand too for overnight oats or smoothies. And we don't go through it very fast because we do buy frozen or fresh fruit every week, but it is here in case we need it. So I always just keep things on hand and just look for the sales every single week and buy a little bit at a time here and there to make sure that we're stocked up all the time. And this week, something that I haven't bought in a long time is this Krusty's buttermilk pancake mix. It's only 8 something for 10 pounds at Costco. And my kids requested that I buy it because I haven't bought it in a long time because I've been using just homemade mixes, but this is really a great value and we love the way it tastes and it's versatile. So I do like to keep it on hand anytime that I can. And so I figured today would be a good day to do that because it is the beginning of the month. But you can see we are all set. I do have lots of dry beans, lentils, barley, lots of baking supplies, and plenty of snacks, and of course lots of Halloween candy. So we are all set for a very easy breezy month, I think, as long as everything goes to plan. All right, so this chili has been simmering for about 40 minutes now, so it's all ready to go. I'm just gonna taste it and serve it up with some toppings and cornbread on the side. And here is the spicy cornbread. I made it a couple weeks ago, and again, this is the mix I got from Aldi for 25 cents. So I made it a couple weeks ago and then just froze it so we could have it anytime that we want. I'm just gonna pop these in the microwave for maybe a minute or so. And I'll be topping my chili with some Greek yogurt. I always use this instead of sour cream, that way I never have to buy sour cream, and some hot sauce. And then I do have a little bit of this turkey deli meat that I have to use by today, so I'll just add this to one of my kids' plates. And I'll also probably shred a little bit of this cheddar too. The avocados that I bought today are not quite ripe enough, so I'll just have to have some avocado with one of my leftovers tomorrow. And there's my bowl of chili with my little side of cornbread. And then I've got enough chili for my husband, also for his leftovers, and then probably some leftovers for me too. And then this will be my son's plate here. And I added a little bit of toast and some leftover homemade French fries from last night and some carrot sticks. And there's his chili that he probably will give a little taste, we'll see. And then I've got my daughter's here, and she does like chili, so I put some there for her with some leftover fries, carrot sticks, and then some sourdough toast as well, and a little bit of that deli meat. And that's it. And if I know something might not be a favorite, that's why I do all of these extra little things here. So somebody, you know, who doesn't necessarily like the meal can at least get some things that they enjoy, and then they can try something new. And that's just what has worked in our home, because we feel like pressuring them to eat everything on the plate that they might not like is not the best way for us to go about it. This is just the way that we do it in our home, and I totally understand if it's different in yours. So for lunch today, I'm just gonna have some leftover chili, and always having leftovers definitely saves money because then I don't have to go get takeout at any time. For lunch, we're gonna go ahead and have some shredded chicken. My daughter's gonna have some raspberries. My daughter's gonna have some pickles on bread with mayo, and then some milk, and maybe it looks like a Nutella snack too, and some pretzels. Delicious. And I'm also gonna have some hummus on toast as well. And on my little toast with red pepper hummus, I'm gonna add some fresh spinach, and then maybe a little bit of the rotisserie chicken as well. A lot of times I like to do hummus with fresh spinach and a fried egg. That's one of my favorite breakfasts of all time, and add a little hot sauce. But I don't feel like frying an egg right now, so I'll just put a little chicken on top and maybe some hot sauce, and that'll be it. And that's it for my lunch. Super easy and delicious. Took me about 2 minutes to throw together. I love breakfast like this. So for dinner tonight, we're making wraps. So I'm just gonna get some rotisserie chicken and get that on the stovetop. And we like to pair it with some spinach. Plus, I have a lot of tortillas from last week, so I'll use some of these as well. And the kids prefer mozzarella, so I get a chance to use up this mozzarella as well. So we're gonna use all of these things, plus probably some ranch dressing. This is my son's plate here. He does have a leftover bagel, so I'll put that there for him as well, and he can make his own wrap. And then my daughter as well, she'll make her own wrap. And I also use some avocado on mine and some Greek yogurt, plus some salsa. And that's what I love about wraps, is you can make them any way that you want. This time I wanted it to, you know, be a little bit different than normal. Usually I use ranch and buffalo sauce. So this time it'll be a little different, plus I'll add some hot sauce, and that's it for dinner. For lunch today, I have these random packets of jelly from takeout from, I don't know, last month or 2 months ago. I don't remember when I got these. So I'm going to be using these with my homemade peanut butter to make peanut butter and jelly today. And this is one of the reasons why I always save the packets of everything, from soy sauce to hot sauce to mustard to all the things. I save it. So this is what I'll be having for lunch. And there's my beautiful peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a little bit of avocado on the side. And my kids are just going to have random snacky lunches today, just random snacks that we have, maybe some cheese and things like that. This is my daughter's beautiful lunch today. Pickles on sourdough with mayo, served with carrots and celery and ranch. One of these Nutella Be Ready bars, and some of these peanuts. They're, Henrietta said, these ones are the lemon pepper. So delicious. And I'm gonna have a little snack. I'm having the Freaky Franken Sage Derby. I found this for $1.09 at Aldi, so I'm having that with some crackers. And then some of these vanilla peaches that are from Aldi too. I got these a couple weeks ago. They're so good. Definitely a treat. Tonight I'm gonna be making something new to us. We've never had this fish before. It's called swai. I bought it because it was a good price and it looked really good. And I've got it thawed out over here. And my son picked out a new vegetable for us. I don't ever prepare this, but tonight we're gonna go ahead and make some corn on the cob with butter. So I've got the pot over here boiling, and I've also got some potatoes that with salted water. So this is just russet potatoes, maybe about 5 pounds or so. Thank you, sir. We're gonna wash our corn, and we're gonna get that in the boiling water as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let these get started, and then I'll get the fish seasoned as well. Let's get this in here. Okay, so I'm just gonna season this with seasoned salt. So I'll make sure I do this on both sides. Next we're gonna do garlic powder, onion powder, and oregano. Do some paprika.
This will be mine here.
Okay. All right, the same seasonings on this side. And I've got my great little helper with me helping. It'll be okay. We did it. Now we can put it in the oven. All right, so I'm gonna put this in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 to 12 minutes. You know, today I didn't really want to particularly eat this meal, but the fish was already thawing. You know, sometimes you just kind of get a hankering for something else. And I know a lot of people say they don't want to plan meals because they don't know what they're gonna want to eat until that day, and I totally understand that. But once I started cooking, I realized that this is gonna be really delicious, and I'm actually excited now. So I think it's just kind of feeling like having a craving and wanting to go with it is kind of hard to resist sometimes. Oh, there goes my timer. Alexa, stop. But I think that's what's good about sticking to the plan, though, is saving money and reducing waste. And overall, I'm happy because we get a really delicious, nutritious, balanced meal. Everyone's happy, and I didn't go and waste anything. Because this corn is definitely about to go bad. Like, it needs to be used today. So I'm glad that I stuck to my plan. This is ready. And when you dump out the boiling water, just make sure that you have cold water running in your sink, so that way you don't damage your pipes. I know some people say it's fine, but I think it's better safe than sorry. Okay, I'm gonna pop in these corn and just boil them for 5 minutes, and then I'll let them cool, and the fish should be ready pretty soon. Alrighty, carefully. Whoops. And you know, I feel like I've been kind of in a rut today overall, just kind of feeling meh, and I think I just need to get a little bit more organized. I have a lot of food in the house, and things are just kind of disorganized and a little bit different than normal, so I think I'm just feeling a little bit off. And I think the reason why I say I'm in a rut when I have too much food in the house, or a lot of food in the house, is just that it's very like, it's kind of disorganized, I guess. And so I think I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. but we'll get through it. Because I'm doing something a little bit different this month where I bought a lot of groceries to start because my kids are home with me for a month. And so I spent, I think, a little bit less than $200 for the week at both Aldi and Costco. And that's gonna give me enough food probably for the whole month, except I'm gonna have to go get milk, maybe eggs, and fresh fruit, because we just like fresh fruit. We probably don't even have to. If I really don't want to, we can stick to the frozen stuff. But I'm just doing it a little bit different this time because I found so many good proteins and things and treats on clearance that I took advantage of. So since there were so many goodies on clearance, I spent a little bit more this week to make sure that we're stocked up while also saving. But I have to create a plan in order to get myself a little bit less stressed out about all of that, about all the food. Okay, I'm just putting butter and milk in here. I have heard that some people say you need to heat the milk and butter, and that's what I used to do. I used to heat the milk and butter on the side. I guess that gives you a different texture, depending on if you heat the butter and milk before you add it, or if you just add it in cold and like let it melt. So I'm not sure which way is the right way or the best way, but I actually don't like my potatoes to be super creamy, and I like to not use a hand blender. I like them to have some texture, but that's just my personal preference. And for me, mashed potatoes, corn on the cob, those are comfort foods for me. And so I was really excited when my son wanted to buy corn on the cob this week, because we don't try a whole lot of we don't like a whole lot of new vegetables sometimes, so I'm interested to see what he's gonna think. Hopefully he'll love it, because he did have it when he was a baby, and he loved it then, so we'll see if he loves it again. I haven't even looked in the mirror. I don't even know what I look like right now. All right, a little bit more milk. There's the corn timer. Oh, okay. Wow, that could have been bad. Gotta be careful around boiling water and corn on the cob. All right, so this is all done. I just temped it. It's 145 degrees Fahrenheit internally. So we are ready to eat. I'm just gonna let this rest and get everything plated. Since I have a permanent retainer, I have to cut the corn off the cob. I'm just gonna cut it like this, which I think is delicious, especially in salads. And there we go, there's dinner. I'm gonna serve this with a piece of crusty sourdough, and we're all set. And my daughter doesn't want corn on the cob, so she's gonna have celery. And then this is my son's, so hopefully they enjoy. Good morning. So with these leftover mashed potatoes, since we're doing pizza night tonight from the freezer, for breakfast, I want to use these to make potato pancakes. So I'm just going to use some mashed potatoes with eggs. I'll add some shredded cheese. I have a couple different kinds, some flour, salt and pepper. And then for my personal portion, I'll add some onions as well. So let's mix this up and get it frying. All right, since it's just me and the kids this morning, I'm just going to make a small batch. I'll probably just do like a half of a batch here. Normally I use 2 cups of mashed potatoes. So I'm just going to use maybe a little over a cup. Go. And then I can save the rest of these mashed potatoes for lunch. Might be like a cup and a half. I don't know. I just kind of wing it here. We're not going to measure. That's what's nice about this recipe, is you really don't have to measure. And now this part's optional too, but I like to add a little bit of flour so things kind of stay together. So this is just a binder. For 2 cups of mashed potatoes, I use about 1/4 cup of flour. So this is probably a little over 1/8 of a cup, maybe 2-3 tablespoons, something like that. I'm gonna add some shredded cheese. I have mozzarella and cheddar. Normally I just use cheddar, but honestly, just whatever you have on hand will work just fine for this. We'll add some salt and pepper, of course. You can also add garlic or onion powder or fresh garlic, fresh onions, whatever you wanna add. Pepper. And then I also like to add, this is another one of those optional things, but I like to add an egg. And again, this also keeps it held together and adds a little bit of protein too. Really stretches it. And then I'll take it over to the stovetop and get frying. And it turns out I'm gonna go ahead and keep these that I picked up. I was planning on returning them. It comes in a 2-pack. It's an egg mold, but my son said he'll actually eat the whole egg and not just the whites using this. So we'll see how it goes. eggs scrambled as well. So normally I fry these potato pancakes in oil, but I think I'll do some of these in butter this time because I'm doing eggs at the same time. All right, let's scramble these eggs. And normally I form these with my hands, but we really don't need to. I don't need to shape them. You really don't need to. I'm just gonna put them right here in the pan, just like that, and let them cook. We like our scrambled eggs a little bit more cooked. I know some people like them to be less cooked sometimes, but we like them a little more cooked. So yes, I know I'm overcooking the egg. It's gonna be okay. That's just how we like it. All right, that looks good. And then this is still cooking. I'm not sure how it's gonna turn out. We'll find out. And now once I brown it on both sides, I'll just serve it up and maybe do some onions on top. You can do applesauce, whatever it is you wanna add. I actually like Greek yogurt or sour cream on top. A little hot sauce, of course. And there you go. And then my daughter made a cheese and mayo sandwich to go with her scrambled eggs, and then another Nutella bar. It's like a breaded, I don't know, it's like a cookie. And then
so crispy wafer filled with Nutella.
Crispy wafer filled with Nutella, and then a raspberry lemonade. Breakfast of champions. And then here's my son's Mickey egg. So cute. And I'm just gonna have mine just like this. It is super delicious. Doesn't really need anything on top. Highly recommend giving these a try if you haven't. My kids wanted me to make pancakes with that mold, so this is what they look like, and I'm gonna go ahead and eat the broken one. I hope you enjoyed this video and at least got a few ideas for things to make in your home. YouTube thinks you'd like to watch another video, so go ahead and click on that, enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.